ولا بينزل
Hello.
عندي وعندك؟ All right,
Yes.
here we go.
Hello, everyone. Good day. And it's a very excellent morning this day. It's we're month of June, and I believe that it's hot summer here in the Middle East, and I believe in on the other parts of the world, especially the southern hemisphere. It's maybe cold and winter, but I hope everybody who's hearing us is enjoying the day, the sunny day, and a good day. And we are having today Ahmed Rashad, and we are having in this beautiful morning the founder, a colleague who's a founder and host of Business بالعربي podcast, which is an Arabic-based podcast, which is the most seen business podcast in the Middle East now and the top viewed podcast. And at the same time, he's a commercial and strategy management consultant who's coming from a technical background. He's also an engineer and a colleague in engineering and a friend of mine. Hello, Ahmed, and maybe we found a new tie the last few weeks together.
Hi, Mohammed. How you doing?
Hi, fine. I'm fine. Thank you. And thank you for being here. I believe today, to Ahmed, it's really a pleasure to have you here. And maybe it's a shift in the topics I'm offering in this program. Because normally in this podcast, I used to talk about strategy, leadership development, about coaching, about how to develop leaders, change cultures. And then I'm dealing with leaders who are actually from technical backgrounds and or having a lot of resistance towards embracing a good strategy by embracing the B2B marketing role. And they don't understand what is marketing. They don't understand the commercial aspects. They don't understand, and they resist actually integrating marketing functions into their organizations, which actually limits their growth a lot. So in a way, I thought, yes, this is a new horizon that we need to talk about, and I can't find a better consultant to talk about it, that mixes between being technical, commercial background, and also an outspoken thought leadership. So I thought it's a great opportunity actually to introduce what is B2B marketing for leaders, and I'll just hand over the mic for you.
All right, perfect. So we crossroads in a lot of things. I work a lot in executive coaching and executive leadership. I work most of my clients are either CEOs or senior executives. So I deal with them in the management and leadership, and as well on growing their business and marketing and the sales side, which is a lot of the human psychology side of the business, which a lot of us technical people are not really comfortable with. We're very good with numbers and coding. If you're in the coding business, I come from pharmaceuticals and process engineering, very hardcore manufacturing. So a lot of the engineers like ourselves grew to like the machines and like the technicality. But as you go into, you grow into management roles and leadership roles, the technicality kind of takes a back step, and you switch it more with the human side a lot more. So you tend to work on your EQ, in that stage of your career more than the IQ, which is a lot of the numbers and, the left brain style of things. So the good part as well is, a lot of people don't know is my English is my first language. I'm much more comfortable actually doing interviews in English, but I've been doing a lot of interviews in Arabic, which this is kind of a change for me since I moved, or I've been spending a lot of time in the Middle East. I've been working on my Arabic a lot more, but I actually grew up in the States, which, English was always the language spoken except for my parents. That's the only time where I spoke in Arabic.
So that's so you're invited here to talk in your natural communication style.
Okay. Yeah, I said, most people know me through my Arabic content, which is, a long story behind it, working on my language and, getting a tutor and coaching me through how to communicate better, especially on the business side in Arabic. So this is kind of different than I'm doing mostly in English with you today. So I'm happy to switch it up a bit.
Yeah, and you told me this. You told me that this is more comfortable for you, even. So, in a way, this is maybe one of the things that we're talking about in English. That most of my podcast episodes are in English, and it's mostly for leaders. Even in the Middle East here, most of the leaders that we're having, they're already very fluent in English, and they can understand and relate to what we are saying. So, in a way, I believe that this is something that's really will bring value. We hope that brings value to all, and we need to maybe look at, the topic of business to business, B2B marketing, for leadership development. What are the aspects, let's start from here, that leaders should think about when they're thinking about developing their business, especially talking to B2B?
Perfect. So if my business, most business leaders, whether they're doing a service, they're offering a service or a product, a lot of them that deal with B2B tend to start their business through, they usually are technicals, they usually are subject matter experts. They work most of their sales at the beginning through contact, people they know, connections, and they rely on this until it became a known thing that only B2B marketing or marketing in a B2B setting is only through connections, which this is perfect to get you started, but with time, it's very hard to grow at this stage. So it becomes a very difficult thing. So it's either you have an army of salespeople if your product is expensive enough that you could hire salespeople to go and cover a vast amount of locations, or you start mixing marketing with it. And this is usually the hard part for a lot of B2B leaders to accept, because they're used to the connections, they're used to hard selling, they're used to just getting people to to present a demo for their products or services, and having a booth in some kind of a road show or some kind of a summit. And that's mainly as far as they do with marketing. Everything else is building the sales funnels, which is perfect. What I usually tell a lot of business leaders, that you need to switch. You need to think of the sales process that you're working with and why you think it's mainly connections, because it's people dealing with people. The problem is a lot of these business B2B leaders, they think of marketing as advertising. I'm going to put a PR or a product, or say, this is my product, these are the features of the product, and why this is good, and why you should buy us. This is mainly what he thinks of marketing, or she thinks of marketing. And then if we're a bit advanced and we do social media, what we usually do is just create some paid ads around it. And this is as far as marketing. If you look at a lot of businesses, whether in the Middle East or the States, because I know the US market well, because I worked a lot, and through consulting I worked with people in Asia, Middle East, Turkey, United States, Canada. So I covered a big amount of clients with the same issue. You start looking at their social media pages on the company. It's mainly purely PR and why we are good, and some features and some kind of event they went to, and that's it. But they're not building the connection that a salesperson would build anyways. I mean, you're paying them a lot of money to. Usually, your sales cycle is it could be 3 to 6 months or even more, depending on the price of your product. So what you're doing is you're spending a lot of money on your salespeople to build these connections with people, or if they have connections, or if they're younger, they're starting building connections. They're taking the 3 to 4 to 6 months for that connection or that relationship to mature with a bunch of different clients or different prospects. After that, they might be accepting of your offer. So it's the same thing. The problem is the buyers today, what the first thing they do is they go online and they look you up. They look up your previous clients, they look up the type of content you're doing, they're looking up your activities, they're looking up the type of company you are, because at the end of the day, Muhammad, people, buy from other people. It's not B2C or B2B, it's human to human. So they want to know, is this the brand that I should deal with, or should I, do I like them? First of all, a lot of people judge you by, do I even like the salesperson? Do I like the team? Do I like the company? Do I like the brand? Do I like what they stand for? Is there trust, activities are being built between the brand and the listener? Yes or no? And that's why, I tell a lot of people that podcasting, for instance, is a huge lead generating, lead or demand generating tool, because you're building through time is trust. You're building trust level. Your people are sharing your content. People are sharing your B2B information. People are sharing the education with their team. And with time, you're building that trust. So once your salespeople go and talk to the clients or talk to these people, if they look you up, they already trust you, they already listen to you, they already know who you are, they know the brand, they know the activities that you're doing, and then it makes the sales process a lot easier. So there are pillars that we work on. I usually work with the clients on. We could discuss later on how to build my marketing strategy overall.
Wow, that's profound, and I believe working with leaders that I worked with, they actually relied a lot on the word of mouth of their expertise that started in the beginning, and it helps them actually to go from small to medium size. Yes, it can support them to do
Yes.
this, but to upscale from medium size to a large organization and growth hacking and actually reaching out for clients that are beyond their circle of reach or their organic reach, it's really it really needs an attention of a marketing team that knows well what they want to do. And many leaders I meet are really dreaming of being bigger, and they have the assets that can support them to be bigger. They have a good leadership team, they have a good product, they have a good technology, good talents, are actually having good funds even, but they don't have enough clients because they cannot do this growth hacking, and they don't actually believe in how marketing can support them. So what can you tell them?
Right. So a lot of these companies, when I deal with the leaders, especially, it's very difficult. It's mostly of an emotional thing for them that they think any type of money being attached to marketing is a waste because they're not getting results right away. The first thing I usually tell the clients is influence, which is a lot of marketing is building awareness, influence, and trust, especially in B2B, because you're not selling a product that people will comment and say how much, and then you answer them. This is a much more difficult selling and a longer selling process. So building trust level and building awareness and building an education and building some kind of a brand and a platform that people actually go to interact, it actually becomes much more important and much easier on your sales team to make your sales cycle a lot quicker or a lot shorter than it should be. So what I usually tell them is marketing takes you from 6 months to a year to really see some results. And the marketing, mainly what you're focusing on first, you want to establish your brand as a thought leader in the space that you are in. What are you talking about when it comes to what's new in the space? What are people who are not just your client but people who are active in the space worried about? What information are you providing? What kind of value that you are providing? What type of education that you're doing? What type of discussions are you starting around the topic that you are serving? Okay, what are the issues? Second thing is, what are what type of education are you educating the market with? Are you providing some kind of information to make these brands better beyond just buying your tool or product or service or SaaS software or app or whatever? Are you actually making their life better? Are you providing some kind of information to make their business more successful when it comes to this? All right, this is the thought leadership. Second thing is people that most people know and just work on is the lead generation. Lead generation is very simple. It's the pure advertising. This is what we sell. This is the values. These are the features. Why you should buy it, and you go for it. And it usually attracts people who are already in the market to buy. This is the lead generation. But the other part that we usually spoke about and a lot of B2B marketing and commercial managers talk about is the demand generation. Was how do you create actually tell people or show people that this is something they need or they demand. So you're creating the demand for your product or your service. How are you creating that? And it's usually through starting conversations, it's through educating, it's through building communities, it's through developing content around your service or product, and having the team, showing the team and showing the services and showing what you do. Third thing or fourth thing is showing actually the results, as though it's the research, the white paper, is the before and after, is the type of effect that we did on our clients. This is the project, this is the case study that we did. We started with this client this way. This is the type of impact that we had on them. This is the journey. This is a story behind it. So they actually could see other people in their market like them, that actually worked with you, developed, had some services with you. They had some kind of relationship with you as an organization or as leaders, and how did this impact their life? How did make their business or their life better? A lot of companies, they don't spend, the time and the structure and actually have some kind of an organized content around this. What usually happens is it's like a one-off activity. We do it once, and then we sleep for 3-4 months, and then we do another post, or we do some other event, and then we're gone for three. There's no continuous conversations with the people that actually you need to build trust with.
Wow.
Yeah.
We are having a question that
Yes.
came in from one of our audience, Ahmed Qasim, and he's saying B2B marketing versus B2C similarities and differences. So it's maybe a question. What are the similarities, and differences between B2B and B2C, which is, you said it's human, buying from human, and it's about trust. So what are the main key differences? That's
Right.
yeah.
Okay. The differences is usually with B2B, you're selling to a specific amount of people. You're usually working on margins a lot more than mass, because you have specific amount of buyers. You're not selling to a very large group of people. Also, you have a limited amount of decision makers, and the buying process is usually much longer. So a lot of B2B sales cycle could take 3, 4, 6 months, and some a year, depending on your product. I work with companies that usually their sales cycle is 9 months, and they're selling a $200,000-$300,000 product. And there's 3 months, and there's longer or shorter. So it's a bit longer process. The decision maker or makers are limited, but they're very effective. They're not as of course, there's price sensitivity, but they're not as price sensitive as B2C. And the type of trust level, it takes a bit longer to build trust with the organizations. So actually, a lot of people say, "Oh, its content is mainly for B2C." Actually, you will need to build a lot more trust with B2B than B2C, because he's
Yeah.
making a lot larger investment. A B2C product could be very, from a couple of dollars all the way to 1,000 or so on. A B2B product could be 20,000, 10,000, 100,000, 400,000. It's an expensive investment.
Okay. So um, eh, if talking again to leaders, because today we need to change the mindsets of leaders, or maybe talk to them what they need to work on to change their mindset towards dealing with marketing, especially those who are coming from technical backgrounds. So
Okay.
I believe there is always a conflict, like the perception that these people are not doing anything. Because there's the heavy lifting that's happening in the technical work, and it's almost about like their productivity operations and taking on the hard work and the muscle stuff. So what is a good investment, a business leader who is working on a high-tech product or a technology product or an operational based product, that need to be put in marketing and believe that this will come in with its ROI? So what's the average? What are the changes in mindset? You said now about the term, it's 8 months to 1 year till they see results, but how much do they until till when, and how much could they invest?
Okay. First thing, let's define your role in the business as a CEO. Your role as a senior manager or a leader in a company is not to do the detailed technical work. Your job is not to be a worker inside your business, or to be dealing with the day-to-day firefighting or so on. Your job is to think, first of all, is to work with the team on building the brand, setting the strategy, being the rainmaker. Your job is to make sure that this business is growing. It's in cash flow. It's in good standing when it comes to finance. It's growing. It's making more sales. It's making more partnerships. You are expanding the product lines of your business. Your job is not to code. Your job is not to be the best engineer. Your job is not to deal with the issues on a technical basis day to day. If you want to stay technical and worry about the technical issues every day, then you should get a CEO. Then you should get a commercial manager, someone to run this. If you have the money, if you don't have the finances to do so, this will be your primary job. Everything else that can be delegated should be delegated if it does not have to do with growing your business, making more deals, making more partnerships, building that brand, building the strategy, thinking about how can we build more trust with our clients and potential clients. This is your role as a leader, and getting the right people to help you to reach that reach that destination. This is very important. First of all, second is you need to start thinking more of where, working on the business, and working on the business is kind of like a box. Okay, where do I need to take this box? How am I need to take it? How do I create more customers? How do I upsell the current customers? How can I make the lifestyle of the current customer longer? How can I do have a much bigger flow of services and products to get them to go in with us? How can I build partnership with other organizations? This is hard. This is kind of like the hard thinking. A lot of the strategic thinking and a lot of the creative thinking goes into this. But a lot of us, especially the technical, and I have a master's in engineering, so I could speak about this a bit more. We like 1 + 1 = 2. Okay, but in marketing, in sales, in leadership, 1 + 1 it could equal 2. It could equal 100. It could equal -20. It could equal 1,000. And that's what makes leadership hard. It makes it because you're dealing with dichotomies of things that you have to balance things that on the surface look opposed to each other. So in marketing, and when we're talking about B2B marketing or B2B selling, there's a lot of activities on a day-to-day basis. You might not see results. They might not work results, but the influence of it builds up with time. It's kind of like going to the gym. If you go to gym for 2 days, you're not going to see muscles, you're not going to see results. But after 3-4 months, it's building up, and you start noticing, and other people start noticing. And I've seen that with podcasts, and we develop podcasts with other companies. You don't have to have a podcast. A lot of the Middle East, and this is a problem in the Middle East, a lot of the content in the Middle East, especially in Arabic content, that's why it made me do business content in Arabic, even though it's difficult for me. A lot of it is either religious-based or social issues, or business, or it's either social issues, religion, or politics. Rarely, or it's just pure entertainment. Rarely it becomes more specific. So a lot of the people, especially when I talk to B2B spaces, they think the content has to go viral. This is not what you're looking for. You have a set amount of people. If you have 1,000 listeners, but 5 of them are potential customers, and you're getting the right customers and the right conversation in your industry, you're successful. You don't need that many people. You don't need thousands of people to watch what you do or follow what you do. You need the right people. And this is a mindset a lot of people don't understand in marketing. And when they deal, a lot of the agencies, and I feel empathetic to them, because a lot of the times when they deal with agencies, a lot of the marketing agencies in the Middle East, they don't understand B2B. They understand B2C. So they go around a lot of the virality. They focus on virality, and they focus on amount of posts or amount of information, not the quality of information, and not the right set of information that we need to, or content that we need to provide. It's just like, for them, it's 10 posts, a couple of stories, blah, 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 but it's not around a set of pillars that we should focus on, and how we use these pillars to build our funnel. Because our buyers are expensive. I should have a right funnel. I should have a newsletter. I should have education content. I should have webinars. And these things are not expensive, but as a leader, you need to invest time in it. Yes, you need to invest a lot of time in it. Like yourself, you're working on your personal brand. For instance, you're a B2B business for coaching. You are coaching B2B. Yeah. Mostly your clients are B2B.
Yes.
Your podcast and what you're doing, these great interviews that you are doing, you're building that brand. For the first month or so, you might not notice, but with time, you'll have people from your industry start talking to you, start building that brand, and you start having more interest in what you're doing. And you don't need 1 million people watching this type of interview. You need the right people watching it. And this is the difference between B2B and B2C. You're not going for quantity, you're going for quality, very, very specific quality.
At some point of time, I can relate to what you're saying, and seeing maybe an episode that maybe 700 people saw, it's maybe more engaging to me than another one that was seen by 10,000 who are not my audience.
Exactly. For B2B, you don't care about the numbers.
700 who are my audience is much better for me than those who are not my audience. So.
Exactly, and that's one of the differences between B2C and B2B. With B2C, you have a bit of a wider net because you're playing on volume. In
Yeah,
B2B, you don't need in order to be profitable, you don't need millions of buyers. You need the right buyers, and you
exactly,
need the right buyers that could afford your product.
exactly.
So this is why numbers are not the exact matrix for using marketing or content or education content for B2B. And I think this is
That's
a huge misconception a lot in the Middle East, especially when I've seen with people and in the West as well. Honestly, Annie.
mm, that's very true. Ahmed, can you share some stories of some transformations that you saw without mentioning the names of the clients, but what are the
Sure.
transformations, like the journey, how does it look like, getting like awkward or defensive, being in a way resisting to the idea of integrating marketing into the business and using it for the growth, and into being adopting, and this transformation, can you
Sure.
tell some of its like
This is
milestones or maybe a story to relate to?
these stories are I especially since working in consulting, I seen businesses and everywhere. I worked with business in construction, in pharma and medical devices, in life science. I worked in SaaS. I worked in software houses. I worked with architecture firms. So I have so you start having a wide net of type of businesses that you worked with, and a lot of times it's mainly the leaders. They never spent the time and effort to develop real marketing other than I'm going to give it to some kind of a kid or a freelancer or an agency, and they just say, guys, you put some pictures and write something over the pictures and put some ads, and expecting to see that this is marketing and spending very little amount of money on it. I dealt with clients that are selling $150,000 product and they want to spend $500 a month on marketing. It's not going to work. You're spending, you're selling, you're selling a huge ticket item, and you have a large market sales team that you pay very well, and you cannot
Yeah.
afford to at least have the one salary of a salesperson to spend on your marketing campaigns or your content or your strategy or so on. The second thing is they're offloading all the marketing and all the business development, which is partnerships, a lot of the partnership, to someone else to do. They're not doing that. They're focused either on the technicality and they do the sales. We just want some numbers. The other mistake a lot of people I've seen with a lot of companies is marketing for them is numbers. So the first thing I tell them, we need to develop a marketing strategy. We need to build these pillars. You need to build content around the pillars. You need to work offline and online. And the first thing is, how much is that going to get me from day one? And especially if you don't have any marketing activities, I don't have a benchmark to work with you on. I need to start building it. So we're going to spend some cash. Yes, you will spend some cash at the beginning to build that type of awareness because it works with time. So that's
Yeah.
the second thing. Third thing, and I've seen that a lot, is a lot of the founders, they talk about we are creative, we are doing something different, we have good quality, and so on. But when you look at their social media, when they look at their images, when they look at the way they present themselves, you don't get that vibe. You don't get that brand out of them, and this is a
Yeah.
huge issue. The second thing, they are stuck in the office. They should be out all day. If you don't have a huge sales and marketing machine and a big budget, you need to be out yourself with the man. The leaders need to be out working with the younger team, but they need to be closing the sales. They need to be working on the marketing efforts. They need to be leading the brand. If you don't have if you have the marketing budget and you have the millions to spend, your Coca-Cola or your some kind of a big multinational becomes much easier. But we're talking about medium-sized companies here and a bigger, smaller size that have the budget.
Yeah.
You should be out yourself. You should building the team yourself. You should be delegating most of the technical work, or getting someone, a CEO, and you focus on the R&D and getting the CEO that could lead this. But if you don't have this and you want to be the CEO or you want to be a senior manager in this, you need to delegate most of the technical stuff and build processes and build systems so you can actually go outside and work on the business. And you
Oh,
shouldn't be, say, in office. And that's the mindset shift, that you need to be the rainmaker, like they say in the States, or the breadwinner for the business. And being out and not stuck in your office as the best engineer in the business is a huge. You got a lot of resistance in that. It's a tough mindset shift, but it
yeah.
works once they could actually take the step. And that's
Yeah,
where the coaching happens.
yes, yes, it's very true, and I believe, because I'm one of those who actually I'm more in love with my technical job more than my marketing job. Maybe you saw this podcast that started about 2 years ago, and by the end of 2022. And I believe, in a way, like, to start this, I took about 12 years in the market working, and then I adopted, like, I have to go out, I have to start marketing, I have to be, everybody has to be aware about my brand, like, in a way. It was a shift that took time, and embracing it is not easy, to
How did
to
it
to
affect your business
I
once you
believe
when you
now
see?
there's a lot of recognition I'm receiving. Yes, there's a lot of recognition, and came in different forms. Yeah, different forms. By the end of
That's
2021
exactly.
until now, yeah, there are different forms that are coming in. Like, and it's, in a way, it makes the people even feel what flavor you're bringing to the space.
And it gives you
And
a step to it gives you space to actually price your business much better and price your service better.
not only price it, even see who are your real clients, like, and move with them and see what their needs are, like, and what they're
Yes,
really following. And even at the same time, put yourself out there with and see who you are benchmarked against. So, in a way, it's like, a space where you need to see how you are seen.
yes,
So, in a
and
way,
it's very important, very important.
yeah,
Yes,
and I worked with lots of working with leaders who were really reluctant to spend, to put the right investment, the right focus, the right amount of time and effort into marketing. I'm looking, as if I'm looking to myself 7 years back, and 5 years back, and 3 years back, like. And while and it's a transformational journey, like, it's being out there. It sometimes exposes you.
of course.
It makes you feel a bit naked. It makes you being able to be benchmarked against others, and see the real value you are perceived in the market. If you see yourself as the best, and others see you as maybe the seventh or the eighth or maybe the hundredth,
Mhm, mhm.
so it's a tough journey, and some leaders really feel awkward being seen.
And that's fine if they don't have to be in front of the camera all the time. They don't, but they need to have either people in the business that do it, or someone that does it, or they could work on themselves. A lot of people don't know that we turned actually. The podcast started as just a podcast in Arabic, and
Yeah.
it turned out right now into a media company. So actually, we ended up being incorporated in the States. We called B2B. We called BBA business, BBA media. We started doing media for English, Arabic. We do personal brands for CEOs. We do a lot of content, like content creation for companies in the Middle East and others. It makes, especially B2B, because you don't have to be in front, you don't have to be the person in front of the brand or the face of the brand. But if you can, it's a bonus. If you could work on yourself, it's a bonus, especially as a small and medium-sized company. If not, get people to do it from your team. You don't have to do it yourself. You get it from your team to build that employer branding. A lot of times, and I've seen that a lot, and that's one of the pillars of marketing for B2B, is the employer branding, how the culture of the business, how the employees. You need to recruit A players. You need to recruit people that believe in that business beyond the money and beyond the offer. So if you could create a culture that people actually want to be part of, and show that and showcase it on your social media for a lot cheaper than you would do it back in the day, you should do that. That's part of the pillars of marketing. If
Yes.
you are out there shaking hands and building connections and working on a podcast, going to events and building your network, it does make a difference, because people do business with people. Right now, my main focus in my business is to serve a limited amount of clients for myself as a consultant. I do a lot of the marketing and business development and partnership, and I have my team handle most of the technicality. I just oversee the technical work. The more I'm delegating, the more I'm able to grow my business. And the more I'm able to grow my sales, the more I'm able to build that brand, whether it's in Egypt, it's in Gulf, in North Africa or North America or others. The more I could delegate as much as I can and focus on the areas that bring revenue, bring branding, bring trust, the better I think my business is doing and other clients of mine are doing.
I love how you're saying it, Ahmed, and you mentioned something that I may have drawn my attention. It's about the employer branding. Like when you're branding yourself well, you can actually attract the right talents. And I believe that some companies I was working for and I was supporting them in building their talent acquisition cycle and how to build an engaging culture. Some of the candidates that actually were leaving the company, or candidates who are refusing to join the company, it's about the company branding. They cannot see
Yes.
it. They are not recognized. I like to be in an A team. So and this company is unknown, only known in some very special, very very private spaces. So I don't
Yes.
want to work for a company like this. I want to work for a company that I'm proud to actually be part of, and
To
it has
say,
to
yeah,
have
to say I work
presence.
here. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And
yeah, I'm
the
proud.
generation, the
Even if it
millennials, and
doesn't offer the best learning opportunities, the best exposure, the best experience, the best technical development, but I want to join a team that's perceived to be, an A team.
yes, yes, and the marketing helps you with that side. And I'll tell you, the generations. I'm a millennial, and I work a lot with millennials and Gen Z. Mostly, and the millennials are their expectation for the company culture and working in a place that has a clear brand. Even if it doesn't have to be a huge brand in B2C, even in B2B, it's a brand. It's a very important thing for them. And I notice this a lot. A lot of the people that I bring on my podcast are either CEO levels or co-founders, and a lot of them, they don't talk a lot. They're not out there. They're very private in their connection. But once they go and tell their story, a lot of the times they contact me later on. I said, Ahmed, I've been getting interviews and people contacting me, want to work for the company because I'm telling my story, because they see me as a human being. They see the challenges that I went through. I have some of the people that I did interviews with that used my podcast, that used that episode as a lead generation for their services. And they're funny.
Wow.
They said I send it to my client to explain to them because we talked about specific topics, and they send as a primer to their client that podcast before they sit down with them with the demo, to build that rapport with them and understand the issues, because it solves a lot of the clients' issues. They might have questions. This is the power of what you're doing for marketing. But you don't have a matrix. A lot of times the matrix, even marketing matrix that you see, a lot of times, and some people coined that term, is they called the dark social, or they call it the word of mouth. You cannot connotate, you cannot put in numbers on word of mouth. A lot of times, most people that are watching your podcast or watching this interview or watch my podcast, they don't comment, they don't say anything, they watch quietly and they send it quietly. And you cannot put numbers on that. This is hard, but you will know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other day I met with a CEO of a very large F&B company, and he was telling me, I love your podcast, I do this, I'm following, I want to join you. And he never comments, I never knew. And
Yeah.
the other day, it was really funny. I have a friend of mine, he was part of the podcast, and his dad contacted me on LinkedIn, and his dad is a very, very technical, really interesting guy from what he's saying. And I looked at his history, and he has a large experience with technical and investment. And I thought that his son was telling him about me, and I was talking to him as if that's how he knows about me. And the son said, I never actually spoke to him about you. You actually reached him, he liked you, and he reached out from his own, from just following your content. And a lot of
Wow.
the business deals ended up being like that. A lot of times, it ended up being like that. And I'll tell you the funny thing. I remember I started 3 years ago, and the first question that people say, the first thing that people tell me, especially in B2B, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. People tried it. You're wasting your time. People want just the free content. You're not going to make money off of this, blah, blah, blah. And I'll tell you, at the beginning, there was nothing. Right now, I rely on my podcast as my main source of marketing and main source of sales funnels for a lot of my consulting, or either content or media creation, or content or consulting for our business. Even
Wow.
the people that we interview, I'd say a third of them ended up being, clients. The rest became friends and good acquaintance, or they introduced me to other clients.
So I believe this is very insightful, Ahmed, and thank you for sharing your story also, and sharing how you
You're welcome.
offer your services and how this impacted your business at the same time. And congratulations on the company in the States. that you're having. And I can second you. Like when I started doing this podcast, also I had the same resistance. And and we are not limiting, being seen by putting a podcast out there, but it's about being seen, and your products being benchmarked, and people really give feedback about, and very open feedback about what their experience against it, and the putting out success stories, putting out user experiences, and putting out what kind of client expectations. Through these stories I can find myself, so I can take a decision to trust your product because it looks like me. You look like
Yes, it,
somebody who
it,
can
it
support
helps a
me with
lot.
doing this. You will add value to me. Yeah.
Exactly. And
So
I'll tell you this, Muhammad, like a lot of times I go into clients' meetings and I meet the team, and half the team is following the educational content that I'm doing in the interviews, and it makes the acceptance of the team to my team or my services much easier. It makes
yeah.
it gives the project a much better chance of being successful because the people trust you. Even the team members who are not decision makers, and this is very important. The not decision makers, they trust you, so they work with you. They trust your leadership. They trust your thought. They trust what you're saying. It makes the acceptance from the clients, whether we do a service or I do a pure consulting or we do service when it comes to media and content or whatever, or production, much easier and much more accepted by the rest of the team. And this is something
Yes.
that I cannot quantify, but it's there. And this is what I tell clients. I tried it. I do B2B. This is my business is B2B. I don't do B2C.
Okay. So to summarize, Ahmed, if we 30 minutes today, and I believe that you're generous that you gave us more time, and now we're almost going to the 45 minutes. So what is maybe a short takeaways from this discussion? What is in it for leaders in B2B marketing?
Okay. First, Muhammad, thank you so much for having me. I hope this was helpful to anybody that is listening, and it's beneficial. That's the most important thing. And if anybody has any questions, of course, they can ask here or contact me. I would say, first of all, your job as a leader in the organization is to look at the organization from the outside, not from the inside, not to be inside the details and the firefighting. Is to look from the outside and figure out where you need to take it and how you need to take it there and what it takes to go where you need to be. This should be the questions, the three questions you ask yourself on a daily, a weekly, and a monthly basis. If your time, as a leader in that organization is not, most of it is not spent answering these questions on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis, you're wasting a lot of time and activities that could be done by someone who is, less, low, younger in the organization or more junior to you in the organization, or it's someone that you could delegate these tasks to. But these three questions, you as a leader or a senior executive, that should be your main task, whatever, every day you go to work.
Okay, can you list the three questions again?
Sure. Okay. First, what business we're really in, where we need to go, and how we need to get there. And who are and these are the main three questions. And if you want to add a fourth to it, what am I doing to get
how
there?
do we get there?
Yeah. Last thing, what am I doing to get there? Am I spending my time on answering these questions on a daily when it comes to activities or not? If I'm not, then I need to really evaluate my time and how I spend it.
Yeah, I was just writing them now.
Perfect.
Okay, so thank you, Ahmed. I believe it was a very rich discussion, and it has, I believe that I will revisit it again for myself, and I hope many other leaders do the same. It was very insightful, very generous, and for those who want any services when it comes to B2B marketing and expanding your marketing activities, especially for the tech companies and and companies who are meritocracies, like they're focused mostly on their technical expertise and their engineering muscles and this stuff, and they want to expand and grow. You can go to Ahmed and you can contact Ahmed through his email is on the reel down there, which is Ahmed Rashad at Business بالعربي, right?
Yes, or on my LinkedIn account, they're more than welcome to DM me.
Yeah. So that would be great, and I believe that it has been a pleasure talking to you these 45 minutes.
Thank you.
And thanks
Thank you,
for
Mohammed.
those who were following us.
Pleasure.
If you have any questions, just put in the comments, and myself or Ahmed will go back for you. Okay. So thank you, Ahmed, and thank you everyone. And
You're welcome.
assalamu alaikum.
You're welcome.
Bye bye.
Take care. Take care. Bye bye.